And guys, this is the 5 Hour Pass podcast with me, Suddy, and this is Sham. And today we're talking about the weekend fixtures. Two big fixtures we're going to preview today: Everton versus United, and Liverpool versus Man City. Two huge games, all kind of affecting the consequence of the top four. I think it'll have long-term consequences. The Liverpool City game, which I guess we can start with that. The big one. Liverpool's form, and we talked about in the last video, Sham, very patchy. But when they play well, they play very well, and when they play bad, as a Liverpool fan, it'd be quite sad to watch a bit of LVG ball, slices by passing, that kind of thing. Talk us through the question I wanted to ask you is, how good do you think Man City are right now, and do you think Liverpool could turn up to the best? Do you think Liverpool could raise their standards to the best Man City side right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a Liverpool Manchester doubleheader, isn't it? So it's interesting.
Yeah.
The fans, I'm sure, don't see it that way though. But look, City, they've had games where they've just done enough to win. They've had a moment of magic, and then they've had games where they're just completely knocked teams aside. They do, when they score, they do tend to score in chunks when they get on a roll. So their best is it's approaching their prime under Guardiola at their best. I don't think they're quite there yet in terms of their ability. What's different though is that the defense is gone to elite. You know, it's 1 goal in 9 Premier League games, and that's phenomenal. This phenomenal record. Diaz, you know, hasn't really got a lot of attention. But even when City's defense started doing well, everybody was going, "Oh, John Stones," you know. But then everyone sort of realized Diaz seems to be the leader, and Guardiola's come out and said that he's getting better and he's making everyone else better, and that's a leader for you, you know.
Is that John Stones or is that Diaz you're talking about?
Sorry?
Is that John Stones or Diaz you're talking about?
Diaz. The attention was on Stones first, but then attention started coming on to Diaz. And Guardiola said that, I think it was before their last game against Burnley, that, you know, he makes the players around him better. And that's you know, when you talk about someone like John Terry, he often did that. You know, that Van Dijk, obviously with Liverpool, made the players around him better as well. So they're probably better defensively, just in terms of their current form, or as good as any defense that Guardiola's ever put up. I don't think, I said, I don't think they're quite there yet with their attack. De Bruyne not being there is a big factor in that, and not really having a centre forward who's elite at the moment. Jesus had a really good start with Man City, but he hasn't really kicked on. Aguero has been injury interrupted. He's 32 now. They played at times with the false 9. That's probably getting used to. False 9 doesn't mean, you know, you can play teams with a false 9 and still play really well, but it is fairly new to Man City. And once they get that going, you could probably say that it's as good a Guardiola side as you've ever seen. With Liverpool, the key is how, well, firstly, who comes in. I think if Fabinho doesn't play, I don't think they have a chance, frankly. I think that he lends a lot of solidity and safety to the team. I think that when Van Dijk went out, they still played quite well for a while after Van Dijk was out. And I think that was Fabinho stepping up. But when the players around him got injured, your Gomez's, your Matip's, and those guys got injured, it's just that domino effect of just having too many players moving around, playing out of position. Henderson out of the midfield's a massive loss. You just the way that he organizes that team and gets the ball forward is very noteworthy. That Liverpool midfield it's not got any outstanding players in it. You know, there's not players in that Liverpool midfield where you go, oh, they should be playing for Barcelona or Real Madrid. But they're very good at winning the ball and progressing it forward or progressing it wide to the wide fullbacks. And I think the fullbacks at times, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, are not bombing forward the way they would with Van Dijk back there. I think that Van Dijk and Gomez's ability to defend one-on-one with their speed and strength is kind of what that ability has kind of been lost a bit. So the fullbacks are subconsciously not committing forward, because a lot of Liverpool's goals actually come from the ball switching between the fullbacks. But one of the fullbacks has to really get forward for that to work. So obviously Alexander-Arnold crossing it to Robertson, who then crosses it in for someone to score. They haven't really been able to pull that off. And teams have decided, you know what, if they're not progressing the ball forward quickly with us, we'll just set up 2 banks of 4 and we'll just defend against them. So the good news for Liverpool is City won't do that. This is going to be a massive tactical chess match. It's going to be 0 at halftime, and we're going to go, nothing's really happened here. And the game will open up in the second half. It's going to be a massive chess game at the beginning because Guardiola can afford to draw this. He wouldn't actually mind. So he, rather than going at Liverpool, he may just decide to draw them out of position and make them try and do things a little differently, maybe unsettle them. And then when he punches, he's going to punch hard. He hasn't got the firepower up for to get at them straight away. He'll do a bit of, I don't want to say rope it up, but like Muhammad Ali, but rope it up in the sense that he'll wait for his moment and hit hard when he can. Liverpool will be very interesting because do they go at City? If they might actually have some success going at City, but it will open them up at the back, and they don't want that. They don't want any more pressure on the defense than what they would be comfortable with, and that level of comfort has gone down massively. So I think they're going to try and find their feet in the game and find a way as opposed to just running at Liverpool. So I think it's a game that's going to open up late.
Well, with Liverpool, I'm just looking at the injury list before I start. So they have the kind of guys who are definitely out. So that's Matip, Van Dijk, Jota, Gomez, the doubtful.
Is Gomez out for the season?
Yeah, he is. Alisson being doubtful is also not a good sign. Prevon Kelleher playing there against Man City is just not something you want to see. Fabinho, Mane, and Naby Keita as well doubtful.
It's a lot of doubtful. Doubtful in a sense is worse than injured, isn't it? Because you're making that decision pretty late. Yeah, exactly.
And you don't know if they last 5 minutes, they last 90 minutes or 60 minutes. But Klopp and Guardiola had kind of exchange of words through their press conferences, and Pep says they're going to come at us. They're not going to come and attack us. I don't think Liverpool know how to do otherwise. So the way you say, and I know what you're trying to say, but just to clear it up, and you say I think they might come out. I don't think Liverpool know any other way, and it could be a case of Spurs or West Ham the game before that where it's Liverpool 2019 again, or it could be a case of them getting absolutely hammered. Because, well, I say absolutely hammered, I don't mean by goal. I mean by pure play, by pure dominance, which is, I mean, City is just so strong at the minute. Look at the injury list. It's Aguero, who, if you told me Aguero left the start of the season, I believe you. Ake, and obviously De Bruyne, who's, Ake never really played the season. And De Bruyne is a big miss for them. But they have about 4 or 5 players who can step in. Yeah. And that's what you would have said when Van Dijk got injured, where you have 3 centre-backs who can step in. But I mean, the luck of the draw that Liverpool have, they just have these injury after injury after injury, and the complete disarray that put the team in. I don't, I was watching the kickoff against which game was this? The United Southampton game, and one of the guys was going out about it's excuses for Liverpool. I'm particularly thinking it's excuses like you haven't lost. You're not blaming your whole season on losing Van Dijk. You're blaming your season on losing 6 to 7.
Who's making excuses? Sorry.
Lawrence, the guy who co-hosted the kickoff, him and Adam McCullough were having a back and forth, and Adam was pounding him with like Liverpool having excuses, and I thought that's much.
McCullough was a proper wind-up in that, wasn't he? Yeah.
I don't think they're excuses. I think you
might need to say that again. He cut out quite badly.
Yeah, am I back onto you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think they're excuses. I think they just lost so many players, and as much as I like to talk about shit, it's tough, man. If we lose Bruno, yeah, it's an excuse. If we lose Bruno, Maguire, De Gea, it's beyond that anymore.
It's kind of like, if you were to compare it to United, it'd be kind of like losing Pogba, and then Fernandes, and then Pogba, and then Van der Beek, and then Mata. Yeah. Who would play number 10? You'd be going, I wish Jesse Lingard didn't go on loan. Like it would be.
And then to go and buy, and then you kind of make a deal to go and buy some guys from Division 1. Yeah. Josh King from Bournemouth, and you hope for the best. I'm not very hopeful for Liverpool in this game. I think it'll be a huge deal if they can get a result, but they need to win, as quite obviously. So, Sean, can I get a prediction?
Look, I think just before that, I think you made a good point. You made the point I was trying to make, but better. Liverpool's best chance is to have a go, to play to that identity and what they know, but that's going to leave them exposed, and that's why I was saying that it will probably be quite cagey. Because I don't think Liverpool got the confidence to do it. Having said that, Liverpool don't have a bad record against the best teams. It's the teams that put the low block and the lower on the table. I'm going to go City 2-1. I think City have got what it takes. I think that City have not got For a team with such incredible talent, apart from Sterling, they haven't really got many name players in that front five. Um, it's a lot of players. Like Foden's a good player, but he's not a name like De Bruyne, you know. And there's a lot of good players there. I think that somehow there's this egalitarianism to the way that they play when they go forward. Like they genuinely are playing for each other. I do think that City will get the win. I think Liverpool will fight hard. I think Liverpool will go down swinging. But it's just kind of too much at the moment. And I think the issue is with bringing these guys, and I think that kickoff video did it really well. They're saying like, well, you're not playing against the two new centre backs. You're not playing against Brighton. You're not going to play them in their debut against City. You got Leicester next. You're not going to play them against Leicester. Then you got Leipzig in the Champions League. When are you going to play? When are you going to put these guys in for a debut? You know, like they've got the bodies and they need centre backs. Like they technically have Williams and Phillips, but Klopp really does not trust them both to play. And like I said, the best chances if they can get Fabinho and say Phillips to play that role with Henderson and Alcantara and Wijnaldum, that's actually a good five. So there's a lot. I think a lot rides on whether Fabinho plays or not, and so I want to put him as my player to watch for the week.
I think Kabak makes his debut this week, and he's going to be my key player. I think he's going to be 1-0. Potentially 2-0 is a bit of a stretch, but 1-0. And I think he's my key player. I think the centre backs. There are moments, you know, there are many performances I can point to where centre back makes a debut. I think, or a centre midfield. I think of Anderson against Steven Gerrard in Liverpool versus United. Anderson made his debut and played an absolute
the Man United Anderson.
What was probably the best midfielder in the world at the time, and he shut down Gerrard.
Little boy. I remember that game.
But this is not indicative of how good Kabak or how good Gerrard is or Anderson. It's just it's a debut kind of.
On that day, it was like that. Yeah.
You know, you need to a hero needs to step up, and I just have a feeling I'm going to put him. I'm going to say 1-1. We'll move on to United Everton. It's a big game these days. United Everton, not as small as it used to be. So that's on Saturday. That's today. I mean, I would generally say, it's amazing to say. Generally good form. United coming off a 9-0 win, a loss against Sheffield and Arsenal, only kind of blips in the last 3 or 4 months. It's a good time to be a United fan and an Everton fan. If they beat United today and they win the game in hand, they leapfrog Liverpool. Let's talk about Everton first, Sean. So Ancelotti has really kind of steadied the ship with Everton. They're doing very well. They've got Josh King coming in to fill in for Damien Calvert-Lewin. He can also play like kind of off the left wing, but they have a very good side. So
was that on the left wing?
I think the key shift that he's done is Ancelotti changed his formation to 4-2-3-1 to accommodate Iwobi, who's brought like a bit of industry to that front line. There was a lot of creativity and less industry. And he's done very well overall. I quite like the look of the new Everton, the second half of the season Everton side. What do you think about the game? And talk us through Everton first, and where do you think United kind of go for this game?
Yeah, there's a balance with Everton now with Iwobi, like you said, that directness that he has as opposed to Rodriguez, Richarlison. Calvert-Lewin scored his last game, which was good because he'd gone through a patch where he wasn't scoring. So sometimes you just need to get that goal. And it was a shitty goal. But sometimes you need one to just come off your backside and go in, and you feel like you're back in form. Sigurdsson, I think, is coming. They've incorporated him quite well, I think. Everton will go with that 4-2-3-1 shape. I think they'll go man on man. I do remember the last game, Arthur versus Fernandez. I love that battle.
It was a great battle.
Two little angry Latinos having a crack at each other. I thought it was brilliant. and they got Fernandez booked early and spent the rest of the game trying to get him sent off. And Bruno won that. He got, I think it was 2 goals and an assist, including Cavani's first goal in the last minute. Yeah, that was a proper game. Yeah. I expect a proper game. I think that Everton will look to hold their shape a lot. Like they'll let United come at them and hold their shape, but when they go, they'll go hard. How they incorporate Rodriguez into that is very important because you don't associate Rodriguez with pressing, tackling, winning the ball, the sort of stuff that Jesse Lingard does. And he may not even start. Is Richarlison available? Is he playing?
Yeah, I have here who scored. a front four of Iwobi, Rodriguez, Richarlison, and Calvert-Lewin all not injured. All
Yeah, I don't see
yeah.
Rodriguez being put
Your
in the
boy,
if he
your
plays,
boy Alan's doubtful though.
and I don't see it.
Alan is doubtful.
Yeah, I think Richarlison adds. I think he moves very well into spaces, and I think that he's an important player because he's not. He's a tricky player for someone like Bissaka to go up against because he would challenge Bissaka quite a bit, and go on to spots where one Bissaka may not be quite as comfortable, as in whether to track him or to pull back. I do think that with the movement that Everton has, I think that they'll need a bit of stability in the midfield. I think Matic gets a game for United, just to hold that sort of position in front of the back four. I do think that Bailly should play over Lindelof because I think that Calvert-Lewin's ability with the head is something that they'll need to keep track of. And I think that if Calvert-Lewin will just look at Lindelof and eat him for breakfast if he gets the chance. I think that's how actually Everton got their goal against United, if I remember correctly. It was a long kick down the field.
I couldn't remember that.
It was a long kick down the field from the keeper, I think, and it was headed on. It may have not been Calvert-Lewin, but it was headed on with Lindelof losing a 1-on-1 challenge. And then Everton ran in and scored. If I remember, I may not be remembering that correctly, but
the thing with Lindelof, he's a great defender when the team has control of the game. His passing ability is outstanding for someone who's not the best defender for that level.
Bailly's better when the team's not in control.
Yeah, but
he's a bit random for the people to take on. Yeah. And he's got the tentacle legs that Bissaka has as well. That he can just pick the ball up. Yeah.
Bailly's also doubtful. I think
maybe once Ebe goes right back. I do think that Richarlison is a threat to United because he's unorthodox and he's a player that produces moments. And given United's defensive record, he's the type of player that could just produce a moment against United.
I don't think you see much of a change lineup, Sham. I don't think you see Tuanzebe. The only interesting one I'd like to see, and I think could potentially come on, is I think Diallo might make the squad today. I think Diallo is in the squad.
I believe that he would start on the bench. I'd love to see him get on and just do something different on that right side. I think United massively underused that right side, and I think that they talk a lot about Bissaka not really contributing a lot forward. And I've made comment here about one Bissaka watching videos of Gary Neville and seeing what Gary Neville does, and I think people forget that Gary Neville played behind David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo. It probably helped him when he was making forward runs to have those guys in front of him. That just quietly. Bissaka's not played with a proper right winger, so one good way to get more out of Bissaka is to put a better player in front of him. There's a chance there for Diallo, and the club would love to see him succeed. It means they don't have to go and make noise about Jadon Sancho in the summer, or if they do, get his price down. So I think that there's opportunity there if they want it. But I expect this to be a proper game. United will be full of confidence, but you worry with United because they can be up and down, whether they take it for granted or whether they decide, you know what, we're going to grab them by the balls early and take them on. Whereas I think Everton will try and settle into the game, keep that shape, look for moments to attack. But I think the game will open up as it goes on again in the second half.
Well, that's the thing. Every team that has scored against United, they settle into. That's how you kind of pick United apart. You settle into the game. You stop them from scoring in the first 20 to 30 minutes. You settle in, and then you go bang bang. Because if the first goal comes in, if the first goal comes in a bit late, you find United panic against Sheffield. It was quite evident against Red Bull Leipzig when they grew into the game. United just couldn't really thwart the two of them. There's not many losses this year you can point to, which is a good feeling. That it's very hard to point to examples. But Arsenal would have been a good one, the 1-0 loss, where Arsenal settled into the game, got the goal, and just shut up shop. It was hard to go back against that. I just kind of take back what I said about Diallo. I don't think.
The goals United conceded from individual errors. They're not from breakdowns in the system. So that's kind of that's where teams apart. So that's kind of how Everton will see their chance against United.
I'm just going to take back about Diallo. Diallo actually played yesterday. I read this. He's played against Everton 23s, I think it was, or Wolves 23s. He got 3 goals and an assist. So he's definitely in contention.
Did he play 90 minutes? Do you know how many minutes he played?
I think he played a full game. Yeah, of course, a full game at least.
If he played a full game, then he's probably not playing for.
Yeah, that's just going to say. I don't think he'll be involved. He might be involved in the first team setup because that's what they do with United. In most teams, I mean, they bring them into the game.
I'm sure he'll be there. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
get
they
him used to
may
putting
even
on the socks
decide,
and
you know
things.
what, if the game's over, we bring him on. You know, they may even
Yeah,
have a 15-minute cameo lined up for him. And
yeah.
Ole Gunner's the
Because
master
you
of the
can,
20-minute cameo, isn't he? So
yeah. You know, I saw the other day, Ollie is in the top 10 scorers of all time for United, which I didn't think he was.
really,
And yeah, he's got 123 goals. That's a lot of goals.
he got 28 off the bench, right? That's the record that he's got, most goals off the bench.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in the Premier League history. I don't even think that that's. No, I think that's his whole career for United, as in his United career.
I'm just gonna look this up real quick.
I'm just looking. They played Blackburn last night. They won 6-4.
Just
They beat
Blackburn.
Liverpool
Sorry.
6-3. They beat Diallo.
He scored more than 5 goals in like 4 games in a row or something.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I looked at the league table for the under 23s league, and it's like even the best team, I think City's winning the league, and they're considered like 1.5 goals a game, whereas this city is considered like half a goal a game at the top of the league. That's very high scoring league.
So, can I get a prediction and a key player, Sean?
I'm going to go United 2-1. I'm going to put it on Bruno because I think that battle with Arthur, I'd like Bruno coming in there. I do think I'm not 100% sure if Cavani will play. The fact that they rested him against Southampton, took him off, shows that he probably will. I think it'll be interesting to see how they use him because Everton's defenders are a tad slow. Mina and Keane are not particularly quick. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays instead of Martial. But I do think it's on Bruno. So I think he's had that good game against Southampton. I'm a bit surprised he played the 90 minutes, but it was a good thing. It's just in that game because he's got 2 assists and a goal.
Yeah.
But does that have a carry-on effect against Everton? Does that create an issue? Or maybe he comes off the bench. I don't know. I suspect he'll start, but they need to start watching his minutes a bit. Maybe he doesn't play FA Cup games or Europa League games and stuff like that. And they just keep him for the league.
Yeah, I suspect he'll be taking a break against second leg Europa League against Sociedad if he can do the business. I want to go 3-0. I think Pogba's going to be a key player today. Just to your point, I don't think Alan's going to play today. He's doubtful, 50-50 really. So we'll wait and see. But I think Pogba's going to come back. He's going to come back refreshed. He didn't play against Southampton, which he would be pissed off about. You know, in a good way, pissed off about that he wasn't part of the goals and the assist in that. So 3-0 United. Yeah, I think it's going to be 2 cracking games, and we'll bring the review for the weekend, the weekend fixtures on Monday. Sean, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you've been thinking about?
One thing I wanted to point out was Jesse Lingard, 2 goals for West Ham. Good on him. He's had to fight very hard to get some game time. He still looks like a United player in a West Ham shirt, but congrats to him because he's had a tough time of it. He's had family issues. He's had people on his back. He's had people tell him he's not fit for the shirt, and he's a United boy. Maybe we need to stop classifying, expecting that youth team players become world-class players. He's a good squad player for United. He's gone to get football at West Ham, and he's not going to score 2 goals every game, but he played well. He linked up well. Those are Jesse Lingard's strength, his ability to intercept the ball, his ability to play well with the people around him, and maybe playing for a team like West Ham that like to press, that like to not necessarily have the initiative all the time. And it's a bit like he's what they call an NBA in the NBA transition player. At the point in time where you need to win the ball, and the first few seconds after you win it, he's a very important player. But he's not a Bruno or a Rodriguez number 10 that can sit in the hole and knock passes around. He's a counter-attacking player, so he might actually do quite well at a club like West Ham.
Yeah, he the thing that I see for him is, let's say he goes and does well these next 6 months, he would want to be part of the next 3 years of United's push to win a league title in the next 3 years. He wants to be a part of that, and I think he knows that. I think fans know that United can win a league title in the next 3 years. And at 30, he wants to be somewhat of an important player in the next 2 or 3 years. And he's got no complaints. Gone to West Ham, and I think he'll do well. And I hope he does.
At his best, he has a role for United. He's not the best 11, but he's got a role. He's a John O'Shea, he's a Darren Fletcher in terms of his importance to the team. But those guys are important players. They're not superstars, but they're important players for the club. And I think that's kind of where Jesse will have a role if he can get his form up. So, all credit to him. Ollie's repeatedly called him the consummate professional, so well done to him.
Jesse Lingard would be the opposite of Dan Fletcher. He's a good player, but doesn't play well. On that note, we'll finish up on that note. Sean, it was always a pleasure to talk. 2 big games. We'll chat to each other on Monday about the game. I'm excited. I think there's a couple of other games in there we haven't covered, but we will cover a few more on Monday. Thanks so much for watching, guys, for the 5-Yard Pass podcast. My name is Suddy. This is Sham. Keep football simple. And as always,
keep passing, guys. Cheers.